5 gifts you should never accept from anyone. Vertical bar. Warning from the universe. There's something no one talks about regarding Libra. Not the beautiful side, not the charm, not the almost supernatural diplomacy. There's something that lies beneath all that, silent, operating without making a sound. It's the way Libra receives. Not the act itself, the mechanism behind it. Because Libra doesn't receive in the same way as other signs. They receive with their whole body, with all their sensitivity heightened. As if each gift, each gesture, each offering carries a weight that needs to be measured, felt, evaluated, not with the head, but with that inner place that doesn't have an easy name. And that's exactly where the problem begins. Because there's a type of gift that passes through that filter undetected. Not because Libra is naive, she isn't. But because this type of gift arrives wrapped in something she recognizes, something she loves, something she deep down is still learning to question. Imagine a scale, not the decorative scale, the one in the zodiac sign image everyone's seen. Think of the scale as an internal state, as the way Libra processes the world. It doesn't just weigh things, it feels their weight, and when something arrives that seems balanced on the outside, the scale accepts it, even if inside there's already an imperceptible tension. A slight tilt that it adjusts until the day it can't anymore. This video is about 5 categories of gifts that arrive like this, that seem like acts of generosity, that sometimes come from the person Libra loves most, and that therefore are the hardest to refuse. But before we get to them, I need to tell you something about how Libra works on the inside, because understanding the mechanism is what will make everything that comes after truly make sense. Libra has an emotional detector that few signs possess with such precision. It's almost like sonar. They sense it before they think. They sense when the atmosphere has changed, when the conversation has become heavy, when someone is pretending to be okay. This detector works all the time, without rest. And for a long time, perhaps their entire life, Libra has used this detector in service of others, to calibrate the right response, to find the words that don't hurt, to maintain the balance of the room even when their own balance was broken. What no one realizes, and what Libra rarely stops to consider, is that this same detector falls silent when the danger comes from within the affection, when it comes from someone she loves, when it comes wrapped in genuine intention but burdened with a weight that doesn't belong to her. And then the first gift begins. It's not a thing, it's not an object, it's a type of affection. The affection arrives accompanied by an invisible debt, which says, without using words, I gave you this, so now you owe me this. It's not cruel. The person may not even realize they're doing it. But Libra notices. Somewhere, they notice. And even so, they accept it. Because refusing this affection seems the same as refusing the person. And Libra can't easily separate the two things. It's like receiving a bouquet of flowers without knowing the stems have thorns. You only feel them after holding them for too long. And then you look at the bouquet, which is still beautiful, still smells good, and think, but it was my fault. I should have paid more attention. It wasn't your fault. The second gift is more subtle, and therefore more dangerous. It's guilt wrapped in pretty paper. It arrives with the appearance of I'm just trying to help you, with the tone of someone who cares, with the language of concern. But what comes along with this concern is a transference, something that belonged to the other person, a regret, a frustration, an unresolved pain, and that suddenly came to inhabit Libra as if it were their own. This happens slowly. It's such a gradual process that when Libra realizes it, she no longer knows what was hers and what was placed inside her by someone who perhaps in good faith simply didn't know how to carry their own weight. And Libra carries it. Because she knows how to do it, because she's good at it, because for years carrying the emotional weight of others has been one of the ways she's found to be loved, to be needed, to keep the scales in some kind of balance, even if the price of that was always putting herself on the heavier side. There's a specific moment when this becomes impossible to ignore. It's when Libra realizes in a flash of clarity that hurts a little, that they're apologizing for something they didn't do, that they're explaining themselves to someone who didn't ask for an explanation, that they're feeling a weight that didn't originate with them, And then comes the question that lingers: if you're carrying something that isn't yours, what happens to what was truly yours? Keep that question in mind for a second, because it's bigger than it seems. It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose. It doesn't answer as a list of rules. It answers in the way Libra understands, through depth, through the layer that lies beneath the layer. There's a specific section on how Libra can begin to distinguish what is genuinely theirs, emotionally, energetically, from what has been deposited in them over time by people they loved. And this distinction, when it finally happens, is not a rupture, it's a relief. You are now in one of those moments where something has been hanging inside you, an open question, an uncomfortable realization. This is exactly the right state to receive this content while the clarity is still fresh, before the day drags you back into autopilot. The link is in the first pinned comment. But be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now and download your copy. And before we continue, tell me in the comments, is there any burden you carry today that, if you're honest, you know didn't originate with you? No need for details. One word is enough. The third gift seems the most harmless of all. In fact, it seems like a real gift, one that comes with good intentions, genuine affection, and the face of someone you've known for years. It's an opinion that came unsolicited. It's not an open criticism. It's not a direct judgment. It's that light, casual comment that sticks. You've always been too sensitive for this. I think you're exaggerating. Are you sure this is for you? These are phrases that arrive without warning and that Libra, with all its internal processing, can't simply ignore. It stores them, not because it's weak, but because the detector is always on and that phrase stays on its sonar. The problem isn't the phrase itself. The problem is what Libra does with it afterward. How they begin to see themselves through this filter that someone has placed before their own eyes. How they start consulting this voice, sometimes without realizing it, before making a decision. It's like someone putting a mirror on your wall without asking if you wanted that reflection there. And suddenly that mirror is there every day, showing a version of you that you didn't choose to see. When was the last time you made a decision, a real decision about your life, without first silently asking yourself, what would anyone think? This is the third gift Libra shouldn't have accepted. Not because the person offering it was ill-intentioned, but because an unsolicited opinion isn't a gift. It's a redefinition disguised as care. Libra, who has an almost supernatural ability to see others with generosity, sometimes forgets to apply that same generosity to their own perception. They forget that they also have the right to say calmly, without drama, that this mirror doesn't look good on their wall. The fourth gift is the heaviest of all, and it's the hardest to identify because it comes wrapped in the language of love. It's the emotional responsibility of someone that no one asked Libra to carry. It happens like this, so gradually that it seems natural. Someone around Libra begins to project their own anxieties onto them, their own fears, their own unresolved self-esteem crises. And Libra, who is warm, who is present, who genuinely cares, makes space, then opens up more, then a little more, until the day she realizes that the space that was hers has been filled with what belongs to someone else. It wasn't malicious, it rarely is. But the effect is the same. Libra wakes up one day and realizes they're regulating someone's emotional temperature full-time, that they're managing the mood, self-esteem, and well-being of a person who at some point learned that Libra would do that for them. It's like waking up with a backpack on your back that you don't remember putting on. Heavy, real, full of things that aren't yours, and you carry it because you're strong, because you know how to carry it, because it seems rude to simply take it off. But Libra cares. It cares with a generosity that few signs possess. And the question that remains silent, persistent, is this: who takes care of Libra? This question is not rhetorical. It is central to something that the book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose, addresses in a way that Libra rarely finds elsewhere, because most content talks about what Libra gives. This book talks about what Libra deserves to receive. About how to build a protected inner space where care doesn't become automatic sacrifice, where generosity and self-preservation coexist without war. This is the balance that Libra's scales seek and which, with the right content, it finally manages to find. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. The fifth gift is the most invisible, and paradoxically, it's the one that weighs the most. It is silence that they ask you to maintain. It's not an order. It never comes like that. It arrives as a veiled request, like a tension in the air that Libra learns to read, like the look of someone who says, without saying, please don't go down that path, don't break this, don't confront, don't say what you're thinking, because what you're thinking will destabilize everything. And Libra, which carries within its very essence the search for harmony, which was taught by the cosmos to weigh things before acting, which feels the weight of every word that could hurt, Libra remains silent, with elegance, with diplomacy, with that art of redirecting the conversation without leaving visible marks. But inside, a voice remained trapped. And that's what nobody tells you about this particular gift. It doesn't arrive just once, it repeats. Every time Libra keeps quiet about something it should say, the cost increases, not dramatically, silently, like the pressure that builds up behind a closed door. The cage that forms around Libra doesn't have thick bars, it's made of glass, so transparent that she can barely see through it. But it's there, and the question she can't stop feeling, even when she can't articulate it in words, is this: if I stop being silent, what happens to the balance I so desperately protect? And the answer, disturbing, liberating, inevitable, is that the balance that was built upon Libra's silence was not real balance. It was merely the absence of conflict, and absence of conflict is not the same as peace. Peace is when Libra speaks, and the relationship is still standing. Libra has been conditioned to believe that harmony and honesty are opposites, that to maintain one, they need to sacrifice the other. But this is exactly the pattern that the book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose, dismantles, with a clarity that Libra feels before finishing reading. There's a specific section on how Libra can learn to use their own voice without breaking the bonds they cherish, on how forced silence is not a virtue, it's erosion, and on how finding the right words for what's stuck inside isn't confrontation, it is, in the deepest sense, the most harmonious act they can perform. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. Now comes the moment when all of this converges into one single point. Because up to this point, every gift described had something in common. They all came from outside, from an expectation built by another person. But there is a paradox that Libra has carried for a long time, and that is at the heart of all this. The paradox is this: Libra knows exactly what it shouldn't accept. It senses it. The detector works, the sonar beeps, but it accepts it anyway, not out of weakness, out of love. Because somewhere within Libra there is a belief that refusing something is refusing the one who offered it. That saying no to a gift is saying no to the person. That harmony depends on being receptive, open, generous, always with everyone without exception. And this belief, this automatic association between refusal and loss, is the most powerful and silent mechanism operating in Libra. Think of a water filter. It doesn't reject the water. It retains what shouldn't enter. It's not rejection, it's selection. It's not coldness, it's wisdom. The filter doesn't make the water less generous, it makes it purer, more real, more useful. Libra can learn to be that filter. Refusing conditional affection isn't rejecting the person, it's refusing the condition. Returning blame that isn't yours isn't cruelty, it's emotional precision. Ignoring an unsolicited opinion isn't arrogance, it's self-fidelity. Redistributing the emotional weight placed upon them isn't abandonment, it's genuine balance. Saying you're stuck isn't a rupture, it's the most honest act of love that exists. And here's the twist this video was aiming to deliver from the start. The 5 gifts that Libra should never accept are not the problem. The problem, which is also the solution, lies in the belief that accepting is always the most generous form of love. It is not. Sometimes the most generous thing a Libra can do for someone they love is to say no. To say no gently, to say no clearly, to say no with that elegance that only they possess and which has never been used to their advantage. This is the point where many Libras stop and think, okay, I understand, but how? How do I do this in practice without losing those I love, without breaking what I've built? That's exactly the question the book The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose was created to answer. Not with formulas, with the language of Libra, subtle, profound, full of nuance, with tools that arrive through emotion before reason. Because Libra doesn't change through logic, it changes when something resonates. And this book resonates. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. And so we come to the final point. Not a sixth gift, not another revelation, just an image. Think about the Libra scales. Really, right now, not as a symbol, as a structure. A balance works when the two pans reach equilibrium, not when one is at the bottom and the other in the air, not when one is overloaded with everything the others have put on it. Not when one is empty because everything that was on it has been transferred to the other. The scale finds the right balance when each side has exactly what is rightfully theirs. Libra spent a lot of time trying to achieve balance by placing itself on the heavier side. Adjusting, yielding, making space, swallowing, silencing, all so that the scales would appear stable to an outside observer. But there is a kind of balance that can only begin from within. One that doesn't depend on redistributing the burdens of others. One that begins when Libra looks at its own scales and asks, honestly and without drama, what is here that I put here? And what is here that someone dropped while I wasn't looking? This question is not an invitation to conflict. It is an invitation to clarity. And clarity for Libra is not cold. It is not distant. It doesn't shatter what is beautiful. It simply reveals what is real, and what is real when Libra finally sees it without borrowed filters, without other people's mirrors, without the weight of gifts that were never asked for. What is real is always more beautiful than what was being protected in its place. Libra doesn't need to accept everything to be generous. It doesn't need to receive everything to be loving. It doesn't need to be silent to be harmonious. The scale that finally breathes is not the one that is still. It is the one that oscillates. Because it oscillates, it is alive. Because it oscillates, it is honest. Because it oscillates, it still finds its center. This is the gift that no one gave you, that no one could give you. It's what was inside you all along, waiting for you to stop carrying enough to finally feel the weight of what is truly yours. And what is truly yours is light. It is clear. It is exactly enough.